here's what I want you to know. This imputed sin brought 3 levels of death. All right? We saw immediate spiritual, separation from God, and then it had brought the eventual physical. If not for sin, Adam and Eve would have existed and never died, but that didn't happen. What I want to talk about is the spiritual death. All right? That's the main thing that really impacts us on the level of where we kind of live. So let me bring this on the ground and the effects of spiritual death. Because of this spiritual death, we come out, we have no ability to please God, to worship God, to serve God, to love God. It is not in us from conception. We can't do that. Let me get that down to a more personal level, because everywhere death is, there's always the stench of death, right? You know what I'm talking about. If you've ever actually physically smelled death, there's a stench of death. Well, with holistic spiritual death, there's also a stench of death. And here's what it looks like. A man, a husband, a father who is more intrigued by fantasy than reality. And he goes home and he can't engage his wife or his kids because fantasy is more intriguing to him. And I will show you the stench of death. Show me a woman who feels so insecure about herself that she would talk about other women to make herself feel better, and I will show you the stench of sin's death. A man who loves his job, his money, his car, his possessions, his house, more than he loves Jesus, and I will show you the stench of sin's death. A failed marriage or failing marriage, the stench of sin's death. Same-sex attraction, stench of sin's death. All of those things in the world. We don't have marriage problem. We don't have homosexuality problem. We don't have divorce problem. We don't have abuse problem. We have a sin problem. And it starts at the root because it was imputed to us. It is the universal problem with all of us. So when I'm counseling people through the week, when you are maybe talking to a friend about their problems and their marriage and their addiction to pornography or lust and pride and whatever it is, when I know what the issue is, I know how to talk to them. If they're lost and they do not know Christ, I'm sharing the gospel because the gospel is the cure. So when I know that sin is the issue, I know what the cure is. And then they're equipped with the aroma of the gospel in their life, and they can fight sin, all right? But if it's someone who doesn't know Christ, I don't tell them to go get a good book down at Barnes & Noble or to go watch a lot of episodes of Dr. Oz to fix your life, because the core issue is the sin, and it has not been dealt with in your life. It helps us to preach to people. When you have friends, you need to know where they stand in their position with Christ. Has their sin been accounted for, or is it not? That lets you know how to talk to people, how to share the gospel with people, how to give counsel to people.